week 5 until week 10 there, right? Okay, but as far as I actually have been experienced, okay, for the past few semesters, right, okay, and the past few years, I would love basically to give more kind of what we call my demonstrations when I come to work and solve some of the problems that students actually have been faced, right, okay, along the way when it comes to develop your skill. Okay, those are the things that I want to what we call that sharing basically on my lecturing class, because I have to take this kind of opportunity to show you guys some of the things, even though the methods and the techniques is almost similar, okay, which is I actually have been developed there before, but not all people can be a part of the genius kind of side there, okay, can understand the whole thing that I've been showing and demonstrates, okay, along the way all the time, okay. There's a few number kind of students, I would say I would love to have a very close kind of what we call that consultations, and gives more kind of what we call that advice, and also showing some of the right techniques before you're going to end up your kind of final semesters here. Okay, so anyone who haven't got those tablets yet, please raise your hand there first. Anyone who haven't got those tablets yet? Both of the rooms. Okay, no one? Jeshuan, Ziling, Iksan, have you got your tablet there, right, when you work with your illustrations? And the rest of you guys from this room. So I believe, I haven't got my app. Okay, you're using what? You are going to use iPad Pro, right? The one I have right now, there is no pressure point there. Did you install the right driver? What kind of tablet that you use there, Shilin? Oh, iPad, right? Or the one that you have no pressure point created, right? Okay. So the one that you have basically is not the Apple Pencils, huh? How much is it right now? 400 plus is it? Or 300 plus for Apple Pencil now, right? The price. 550. Okay. All right. So today, basically, okay, welcome to our week 2 of our lecturing class, which is we are going to be improvised the lecturing class into more demonstrations, and also a bit kind of what we call a sharing session on what basically you're going to produce for your practical sessions later on, okay? So in practical session, I will ask some of you guys sharing your screen, and I want to see how actually you develop your kind of exercise, which is I've been demonstrated today, in order for me to understand and also learn also back again whether the students really understand what they are doing or not, right, by using those kind of tablets, right, okay, or using the tools and application at the same time, right, okay. That's basically what I actually have been in mind, right, okay, and also plan for you guys over here. Well, the price has increased already. Last time I checked, around 400 something. Okay. All right. So for today, this week, the basically according to what we actually I've been actually plan on your course plan. Okay. The first week we are going to do a bit kind of light exercise, which is we're going to develop basically some way of working with your kind of tablets or your skills. Okay, the methods that you're going to develop according to what we actually have been demonstrate how to use the right kind of pressure for developing the light and shadows and control basically the pressure kind of points before you're going to shape and develop the form of the structures of your subject matter. Is that right? Okay, so that's basically what we actually have experienced there. But I think some of you guys still doesn't work on it. I don't know why. And I saw some of you guys actually have those tablets. I don't know what you're waiting for that. So I would say make sure you submit as soon as possible. Don't delay your kind of exercise there, okay? There is nothing for you guys to improve except that you need to show me whether you actually can execute this kind of exercise as soon as possible. Whether you're going to use mouse or you're going to use your kind of drawing device directly to work. Okay, both of those devices can be used to develop this exercise. So don't wait. And the things that I've been working on there before, okay, using the mouse also. This is the methods and the techniques and the results that I can get. Other than these line drawings, when I'm using mouse to demonstrate this kind of subject matters that when I come to paint, right? Okay, so those are the things that I've been demonstrated before. All right, when I'm looking into your friend kind of submission, okay, Yan Ching, okay. So I saw basically some of those challenges that Yan Ching have been what we call that experience over here. Okay, some challenging there, okay. So I would say I would love to see, okay, to take a look back again. What are the mistakes that she's been doing there, okay, along the way when it comes to develop that kind of understanding to draw them that. All right, Yanjing, you hear that, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So we here basically want to improve some of the mistakes that you have. Did you saw basically my demonstrations there before? Do you take a look back again my demonstrations there, Yanjing? Okay,
Yeah.
brushes there, okay. When you draw there, okay, this is something that we try to avoid. When you draw those kind of leaves, okay, if you guys were using the same kind of brushes as I am right now, the Cal Ultimate Inking thick and thin brushes, and make sure your resolution and your sizes of your resolutions are going to be around 11 by 8 inch A4 size. And of course, okay, um, your resolutions are going to be 150 only. Okay, 150 only. Okay, I have state my reason why, so I don't have to state another kind of reason. I don't have to explain back again why basically we need to use these resolutions there, right? Okay, do you guys remember why? Why we have to use that kind of resolutions? So right now, if I'm using this kind of recorded resolutions, the size of those brushes I can reduce until at least 15 to 10% of point size. So I can draw back again, okay? And when you want to draw the subject matters itself, right? Please avoid by using this kind of strokes. You draw like this one there, right? Is it true?
Yes.
Right. This is the one that we want to avoid. If you draw like this, I cannot accept it there, right? Okay. Those are the things there. I want to see also how actually you work it on later on there, Yunjing. You are from which group there, Yunjing?
Group 1.
Group one there, okay. Which is we are going to see each other on Thursday, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the other thing, right? Okay, we have 2 days basically holiday, right, for our Chinese New Year, or a week. You're going to spend your holidays a week or 2 days only there, right? Why forget about it? 3 days there, okay? So that means there is no classes from Monday until Thursdays, right? 1, 2, and 3. There is no classes, right? So Monday we still have the classes, right? 1, 2, and 3 don't have any classes there. So for group, okay, for Wednesday and Thursday classes, okay, which is we have 4 different classes there, okay. You guys want to do some replacement, right? So I have to done my replacement also, okay. So please give me basically which date, which basically your time that you guys can actually do some replacements there, because after the holiday kind of weeks, I only have around Tuesdays and also Friday that I actually can make my own replacement class. So it's up to you basically if you want to make some replacement or not, right? If you don't want to use some replacement, I'm going to give only an exercise for that week, which is on Monday, and then I'm going to what we call the evaluate those exercise, okay, on Sunday, okay, at the same week, okay. They're going to have a simple exercise, which is you're going to draw some environments, kind of paintings there, okay. So using the reference that we have that works on that, or you have to find your own reference that works on it, okay. So 1, 2, 3 don't have any other classes, right? So that means Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday, we don't have any other class ready for next week. Only on Monday, there, right? Okay. I'm still actually going to be conduct our sessions. All right. So, guys, please remind yourself back again. Don't draw like this one, right? This is not the right way for you guys to execute your kind of drawings. Okay, this is not the right way. Okay, to work on it. And the other way around, right, okay, if you check, look how actually you paint it, right, okay, how actually you're going to paint it up there, right? So the first thing basically you have to know when you want to paint, okay, whether you're going to work with your outline there first before you're going to paint, okay, this is basically, all right, the way basically you're going to paint. You are going, what brushes that you use right now then? May I know basically which brushes that you use to paint over here?
I can't remember.
Why you can't remember? Okay, this is your painting, so
I check.
right, you should remember that, okay, which is what we have been going through that before. All right, you should remember basically which brushes that you use over here, okay. Whether you're using charcoal, Texas, or whatever that we have, okay, please remember your brushes there, okay. Don't take for granted to do all this kind of exercise over here. So if you take a look back again, how actually I'm going to paint it, okay? You paint like a sloppy kind of shapes like this one, okay? I don't know how actually you're going to paint it, right? I'm going to test your skills later on. So if I'm going to paint them back, okay, the first thing, I don't paint in colors there first. This is the wrong way for you guys to execute, okay? So anyone who actually paint like this, please make sure you redo back again. I'm not going to give any marks for this executions there, okay? If you seem to paint like this, I'm not going to give any marks on that, because you're not following basically the method that we have been show you guys for the rest of 5 sessions there, right? Even though I've uploaded only 2 videos, I think there, okay, but the method is almost the same, unless you want to request for me to upload another videos there, okay? So when you want to paint it, right, let's just say you have this kind of shapes there, right, using those lasso tools, okay? It's more better for you guys to use lasso tools there, right? To select it, right, okay? Then, if I want to paint it, right, okay, you either can paint actually on top of it, or you just can paint. So for example, you have the shapes of structures over here. Then you just have to, when you want to paint it, right, using soft brushes over here, first you have to indicate where basically the light and shadow. The light came from this side, and the shadows might going to be fall off right here, right? This is basically what you should do first, okay? You can use these scumbling techniques if you have the right kind of skills that works. If you don't have, I would suggest for you to work with the soft brushes kind of techniques over here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is how actually you try to indicate your understanding before you're going to paint more complex kind of subject matters that change the size. Can you see that, right? Try to change the size over here. It works on it. Then I can indicate some more shadows right here before I'm going to use my brushes back again. Paint it. See? Can you see how actually I draw them back? Now I'm not actually tracing them. You need to understand the right kind of way to approach basically your drawings from now on. Even though I draw repeatedly the line directly, but I'm not actually hesitate there. I think Dr. Kennedy also have been show you guys already how actually it works. How to work with your kind of strokes there, right? We not hesitate like this. I don't see any fur line. Bulu there, right? You know bulu there, right? Okay. Hairy kind of physical kind of what we call that textures on those leaves there. So by right, at this stage, you already know how to indicate that kind of understanding on the right kind of drawing line for your subject matter by right. So this is basically what you should do. Works on it. Even though you want to draw basically those shadows, you can actually etching there. Okay, this is etching techniques, not a dirty line that you produce there. Okay, for your drawings there. Then you can also draw your what we call that the leaves over here. Okay, this is how actually I draw the leaves there. Okay, take a look there. Okay, even though I'm not actually tracing them. Even though I'm not actually looking for any kind of what we call that perfections, but the way that we draw, okay, it will show basically your understanding right here. You see that? Now, I can use back again the soft brushes, then paint according to what I saw there. The point is right now, try to spend more time to observe your subject matters over here. I'm not saying that we're going to draw the whole things as realistic that you can, but I don't basically have that attentions to have more kind of detailing as perfect that I want for these subject matters over here. But if you're comparing to what you studies over here, it's all about studies, not just simply draw like a kid's there, right? Even though you can create your own styles later on. But for the first few weeks of exercise, I need to see your proper kind of understanding when you want to draw them. Okay, that's the thing that I want to take a look on the students' kind of works over here. Can you see that right here? I move the subject matter, the shadings, okay, according to those, the form of the structures at the same time over here. Okay, the leaves itself, if I want to paint, I can reduce the flows just to give more room for me to develop that kind of understanding on the shadows itself. By right, if you use tablets, if you use computers, the way that you are going to paint will be more easy than you using those charcoals. Okay. If basically the form of those shadows for these structures are going to be a little bit more like this side there, right? Okay. So the way that I'm going to paint are going to be like this. That's why we have to see the formation of the structures there, right? Okay, when you want to paint, not just simply paint the whole things using your own kind of naked kind of understanding there, right? Okay? Without learning that kind of formations that been required for every single structure that you're going to paint over here. It's a simple kind of task, guys, okay? And if you look closely, my kind of indications were more better than what you produce right now, okay? Because I'm following basically back again the thing that I've been developed for you guys for last week. But you're not actually following the orders there. That's why when I ask you guys, okay, which type of brushes that you use, you don't remember that, right? Because you're not thinking well while you draw. Not only you actually, okay, but most of you guys basically who've been developed have the same kind of understanding there. This is natural kind of things, guys, okay, for the beginners that works. Hopefully you guys take notes on it, because be more alert on what you're going to do from now on there. Okay, I want you guys to be more alert on that. Okay, I'm not looking for a perfection there. I'm not trying to what we call the chick look, all this kind of subject to look like the same, but at this stage, hopefully you guys has understand how to examine it and also how to evaluate basically the right kind of drawing skill and strokes there. Okay, I want you guys to learn from that. It doesn't have to be necessary you have to be perfect on your drawings all the time, right? But you develop that kind of knowledge, understanding there, how actually you're going to evaluate someone drawings, whether they can draw or not, whether they have that kind of understanding or not, that bring over to the tables there. Okay, that's one of the most important thing that you have to remember there. So now when I create a new layers 4, I'm going to use multiply there first. Multiply, okay, on the layers there. Please take a look there, okay? Don't fall asleep there, guys. Or don't play games there, okay? Any kind of games. And then I'm start to paint. See? Even though I'm not looking for a natural kind of color there, but the shadings that I create from the black and white kind of illustrations can indicate those kind of shadows using the colors that I paint right now. So I'm going to use red colors over here, or maybe orange a little bit right. Okay, start to paint over. The point is right now I want you guys to understand the techniques that is. Not just to draw like kids directly. If you want to draw like this, I can ask 12-year-old kind of students, draw like this one. Okay, please, okay, don't make a shame of yourself, because you're graphic design students there. You're all about to become a designer there, right? Don't draw like kids while you not attempt to draw like that. Okay? If you actually write scenes to plan to draw like that because the styles, I can accept it there. Okay, but you just draw them because you don't understand how to work with your skills, I would say that you need to improve more from that. Okay, that's the things that I want to remind you guys all the time. Okay? See there, guys? I'm not actually looking for every single kind of details that I want to impress you guys, that I can actually draw exactly what we saw from this reference over here. I don't give a damn about it. But you guys can evaluate whether I can draw or not. Right? Okay? That's the thing. And that's the same thing that I'm going to evaluate your skills. Whether, see, you can draw or not in the right way. You guys understood? Week 2, consultations for Yanqing. Yanqing is group 1, right? Okay, Yanqing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, learn from that mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Don't worry if they're right, okay? But you should feel grateful because I choose you, okay, to demonstrate about your mistakes over here. Then I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes along the way. Okay, I don't want you graduate without having enough kind of information about what you've learned there. Okay, that's the one of the reason there, right? Okay, I want you to have that kind of understanding and bring over to the tables later on, right? Okay, when you work there, right? Or whatever that you're going to experience later on. Okay, when you have a working field there, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
remember that. Okay.
So I have to redo again, or
Of course, they're right. Okay. I won't be able to mark these submissions there.
okay.
But don't take away these submissions from those Google Classrooms, okay? Just leave it there, all right?
Okay.
Improve more from there. And for the rest of you guys who actually make the same mistakes, because you guys have around 100 students there, right? Please basically check back again your drawings. I want to, and then if you have made some of the mistakes, you guys can inform me there, guys, okay? You guys can actually buzz me on WhatsApp there, okay? Whether you're doing right or not. It's a very simple kind of, we call that methods that we can do there, okay, to connect with each other there. I'm really concerned about what basically you're going to produce right now in order to develop the right kind of skills. Okay? All right. The next things for today, for this week, I want you guys to focus on humans there, okay? Find the best photos, black and white photos there, okay? We start with black and white and choose the best one, a very clear kind of photos that you guys can study and draw back again the subject matters there. One of the reasons I show this kind of techniques, I actually introduce this kind of technique for most of the students, because this is one of the best way for you guys to take a look back again, whether you have the right kind of skill that you develop for almost a few semesters, and you can bring over to digital illustrations there. All right, so I'm going to start with pencil brushes. If you guys can find pencil brushes in any of your applications, try to use them. Okay, these pencil brushes there. I don't want to use any fancy brushes like hair draw brushes directly or hair effect brushes that works on that. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to use these pencil brushes. The size that I'm going to use, the flow is 38. The size depending on my kind of comfortable kind of areas that I'm going to draw. And I want you guys to test whether you can actually write. Draw, oh sorry, there are different layers there. Make sure you check the layers. Save your files. I'm going to use around, if I'm going to use around 10 point of sizes there, right? And then what I'm going to do, take a look over here there, guys, okay? How actually I paint the eyebrow there, okay? Change the size a little bit. Take a look how I actually paint the eyebrow there, guys. The imitations of traditional medias there, okay? Works on that. And of course, this is not tracing there. The tracing that you've done before, basically this one, this is tracing is kind of methods there, right? This one we draw back again on top of the layers there. Okay, on top of the layers there, right? So we imitate basically the traditional kind of way of working by drawing back again on top of the layers, but with these techniques basically, if you take a look back again, if you thought you can do it well, oh, this is tracing easy for me to use, try to work on that, right? Okay? If you don't have enough kind of understanding and skills to draw, don't try to be lazy there, okay, when you can actually work on that. Okay? So always be concerned about how actually you're going to move your kind of strokes according to these methods there, because they're going to help you a lot in the futures if you want to draw any commissions kind of books, okay? That people say, okay, can you draw a portrait of digital for me there, right? Okay? So indicate that kind of this kind of techniques into your kind of skills there, right? So how actually I draw the eyes? Sorry, there. You guys can see the screen there, right? Now, the eyes there. When people draw their eyes, people will draw the eyes like this. This is tracing. How actually I'm going to draw them back again. Can you see? I repeat the line when I want to draw them there. See? This is how actually we develop that kind of way of approaching those kind of drawing and create basically the quality of line and strokes at the same times when you want to draw them back. Can you see there? I control the pressure that I'm using these pencil brushes. I'm using these pencil brushes to work on that. Can you see? So try to reduce the opacity while you draw. Then you can see it more clear on your kind of drawing stroke there. So this part there again, if you trace, you just color that out like this one. But I'm going to draw the pupil inside there again, the iris. See? And I start to render there again those etchings there by using the stroke there. That's the thing that we try to imitate. Can you see? I want you guys to test the brush at that. This exercise, the main kind of we call that objective is we want to test our brushes that way. Some people draw those line works over here, but I try to indicate the right kind of shades, okay, especially when you draw those nose, okay? And see there, right? Okay? When I draw this part there, right, of the nose, reduce the opacity. So easy for me to take a look whether the nose is going to be the right and proper way or not. This part basically, if people don't understand, right, okay, they will not going to be able to indicate the right kind of poses of the nose there. I make the same mistakes, draw in the layers there, right? So this one here, right? The layers, check the layers there, right? Always check the layers with the nose itself. So to test basically back again, whether you understand how to draw correctly or not, right? That's basically one of the reasons why we use it. I always test the students there, okay? because most of the students who have that kind of skills, they don't have any kind of obligations to work with this exercise already, normally. But the student who thought basically they can actually do it right, normally they improve it wrong. Simple as that. Okay, they will improve it wrong there. Okay, they prove from this particular kind of exercise, they will make a major kind of mistake of their own understanding there. So even though I don't actually take a look at the reference, I still can actually draw that, okay, because that's basically the understanding that we have developed there, okay. But I create this kind of methods to help the student there, okay, to make sure that they can actually get also the right kind of understanding from here when it comes to develop that kind of skills. The lips itself there, okay, how to draw the lips there. Normally I'm going to draw the line of the mouth there, okay, like this. Then I'm going to draw those upper lips there. But I'm not going to combine. Normally when we draw those lips, we're not actually going to combine between the lower and upper lips kind of strokes there, right, of those line works over there. Okay, the tip itself. And shadings there, right, okay, at the same time. Yeah. Just give a bit kind of shadings first. Yeah. Okay, by the end of this, what we call that process there, right? What we want to achieve is basically is how actually you're going to paint or how actually you're going to use your skill to draw correctly. That's all. That's all they got. So how actually you're going to draw basically this part there, right? The line works over here. Can you see, right? I simply draw those kind of edgy kind of lines, okay, over there, okay? But continuing to draw those strokes there, right? How actually control them and do some etching, some shadows, some suggestions over there. Even though basically we draw on the layers, it doesn't mean that we have to follow exactly all the times, but you can improvise them using the strokes that you can actually develop along the way using this exercise there, right? To draw the ears. Normally when they draw the ears, simple ears there, right, guys? I'm going to indicate this kind of things like this. See? Draw the ears there. If you don't have enough kind of understanding, that basically you make some mistakes there, right? So I'm etching a little bit now. Adjust the size of the times that works on that. Okay. What else there? Okay, the hair there, right? Okay. See? How actually I draw the hair there, right? So there's a lot of way to draw the hair using these brushes, pencil brushes again. First of all, you can see, you can actually indicate the light and shadows from those structures over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use basically the strokes of those hair there, okay, that indicate those kind of structures there. How? Check with the strokes of those hair there, okay, the flows of those hair there, okay. Then what you can do, you draw them there, right? See? Cover the shadows areas there first. This is quite tricky there, okay. That's why you have to control the pressures really well and indicate the strokes of those shadows there first. From the shadows there first. Okay, this part basically I can actually move around the shadows shapes slowly and paint back again according to the flows there. You see? According to the flows there, the strokes. Control the pressures right, okay. Don't just simply paint like this one there, okay. Using no-brainers kind of way there, okay, of working there. Okay? Draw the strokes correctly and adjust the size at the same time. Okay, adjust the size there, right? 20%, 10% there, okay, to add a bit more detailing there, depending there, okay. It will take some time there to draw the hair. So you have to be more patient there to work on that. Okay, my kind of what we call that method, sometimes I will draw basically some indication on the strokes first directly, like this. Yeah. Now we can actually do this kind of methods there, okay, for our subject matters there, not for the fruits there. Okay, inching a bit there, right from there. Now right here, I'm going to draw a little bit on the strokes. Okay, reduce the opacities as you can, so you can see more better on your. All right. Look there, right? How actually I'm controlling basically the strokes over here. With more fastest kind of way of working. And I'm not worrying too much on whether I'm going to create those kind of strokes or drawings a bit more realistic or not. I never basically push myself to do all this kind of realistic kind of way of working, right? But it came naturally there, guys, okay? It came naturally there, guys, okay? As I actually have complete those kind of drawings over here. Because we know basically, okay, if you want to put a lot of efforts to draw every single details, you need time there to work on that. So my kind of time is quite limitations there, okay? It's very limited, okay? So I have to be smart when it comes to work on that. So what I've actually been indicate and teach you guys right now how to work smart. But at the same time, we're not actually smart enough to use an effect brushes there, okay? Like a hair stroke brushes there, to work on that first. Okay? You take a look at those results there. You take a look at those results there first, okay? Then continue to paint back again. Okay? Continue to draw back again, not paint, draw back again. Okay? That's the things that we have to go through. Okay, this part basically some shadows there, right? What you can do, not using soft brushes, but using the same brushes only to paint, to draw them, okay? To indicate this kind of shadings there, just like using charcoals there. Remember that, right? Using charcoals. It's such a size that you can paint slowly using the strokes, indicate basically the shadows, kind of structures at the same time that you work on that. You can use basically some circling around over here, okay, to paint the shadow, to work with this kind of shadows there. It's all about controlling the strokes there, guys. It's all about that. Okay. And of course, in any character that you want to draw later on in the futures, make sure you can draw figures there. Make sure you know and understand how to draw figures there, human figures there. Because a lot of anime, manga kind of artists, right? They can draw figures very well there. So before you're going to draw any kind of characters in the futures, okay, try to understand about all the strokes basically that. Okay, works on that. So if I want to complete these drawings over here, change the size. So the ears basically is quite tricky for some people there, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to control the line really well there, but I make it the line very loose there, okay? Very loose kind of line for the styles there. All right. So go back again and zoom in and start to draw basically the detailing there, right? How to get some more detailing depending on the strokes that you're going to produce on those hair kind of structures there, right? Okay. Slowly draw there, right? Okay? Focus on some of the areas there, but right now because I want to speed up my time over here, that is why I'm going to paint a bit more faster there, right? Okay. And I can use also white colors, see, just to indicate some of the areas of those highlight there, right? Just like using those Conte charcoals there, okay? But these methods can be produced correctly if you use gray kind of background there. Okay, gray background there, right? So some of the areas right here, okay, I can actually use a white colors there. Just like a Conte charcoals there, right? Okay, which is you guys have been experienced that before using those dry media, hopefully dry media subject there, right? Okay, white media, or what we call that white Conte charcoals there, right? Okay. I'm just applying back again those traditional kind of way of working, using the charcoals with this kind of okay, with this kind of exercise there. So one of the best ways sometimes for me to indicate this kind of understanding that I'm going to duplicate, okay, put into the more small sizes over there, close these pictures, so I can actually get more understanding to paint back, see back again, right, or to draw back again, okay, according to my kind of subject matter there. Right. This one is a bit more easy for me, basically to work on that, okay? Instead of just straight draw on top of those layers there. Once you get basically the right kind of compositions of the strokes at the same time there, right? Some shadows a bit with that. There's a heavy shadows over here. We can use soft brushes if I want to, but I don't want to use that first. Just a little bit the size. Right. A lot of people are afraid basically to use this kind of rendering this kind of shadows line, there are shadows kind of shades there, right? Why? Because the process of developing those kind of strokes is a bit kind of ugly basically, right? Just like for some people basically want to make their hair grow longer with it, right? The process of making your hair will become longer there, right? They can't face off look like a very not quite very appropriate, right? For your kind of what we call the process right from there. Okay. To add some shadows a bit from there, but not too dark there, guys. Okay, why I not actually just paint everything too dark, okay? Because I want to indicate this kind of drawing kind of strokes. Still want to show this drawing kind of strokes over here. That's the things that we are going to do right now, okay? You see, for this exercise over there, right? I love to show basically some of the mistake that people always do when they paint it, right? Okay, first of all, when they draw the nose, sometimes they will draw the nose like this one there, right? Okay? The nose will look like this one there, right? What is this there, right? Okay, remember that, okay, don't draw like this one, okay? Unless you want to draw some styles of illustrations, right? Don't draw like this one there, right? What is this there, right? Huh? Nose there. So when you draw the nose there, okay, for example, the shapes of the nose, indicate this kind of shadows for the nose fold there, right? Okay? Shadings there, right? First. And slowly draw the shapes over here. Okay. This is one of the way there, okay? Not the only way for you guys to execute there, okay, correctly when you draw the nose there, right? If you're using without any drawing structures there, okay? Of course, when you draw drawing structures there, okay, there's a small circles in between the big circles on the nose, the triangle kind of shapes, all right, those kind of things there. First, when you want to draw correctly, okay, they're going to be the what we call that another diamond shapes over here to indicate those kind of structures of the nose there, okay? That's basically those kind of understanding there. Even to draw the eyes, okay, when you draw the eyes, the shapes of the eyes look like a fish. Every single human being there, okay, and then the basics one, okay, and then draw the half of those circles from inside, and then get the kind of structures back again, and the eyebrow kind of shapes there. All these kind of basics kind of things. If you really want me to explain, I will explain there, okay, but I just give you guys some examples over here. The ears, the shapes of the ears from the structures of here, cut them up, and then you can actually have some of the details there. Okay? This is basically how to construct correctly those kind of proportions of your subject matter there. But right now, if you take a look, this is the basics kind of point, okay? But if you take a look correctly in the natural kind of photos, they're going to be a little different. Okay, the structures over here are going to be a bit different there. Okay, for example, the ears from here are going to be look like this a bit there. Right? This is basically the basic structures of those ears there from this side. Okay, so from this side, the shapes of the ears are going to be look like this there. Okay, so if you have that kind of understanding, it's easy for you to paint or draw there. Okay, even though you draw on top of the layers like this, they will give more advantage for you to develop that kind of skills. Shadings over here. There's a few light over here, reflections light there, okay? You have to remember there, okay, when you paint, when you draw there. All right, okay? So it will be takes a lot of time for you to develop this kind of drawing there, okay? But I want you guys to get as detailed as you can, because you have around 6 days, for example, that works on that. Each one of you guys there, okay? So I will make sure that some of you guys will demonstrate to us for our practical class later on how to work with these kind of drawings. I want to see you using the same brushes there first before you're going to work on that. Okay? Any questions? I will choose basically most of the photos can be seen a bit more clear for me to start this there, right? Rather than just find some random photos that you find quite interesting, but doesn't have that kind of indications of detailing there, okay? So make sure you find the best photos that you guys can use to develop that kind of understanding like this one, okay? I have a few number kind of photos there, but I want you guys to choose your own photos there, right? Okay, to work on that. Okay, guys, if you guys were first semester students, I'm going to give you guys some reference that to work on, okay? But because you guys were senior right now, I will trust your judgments and your kind of design senses by choosing the right photos there. Okay? All right, guys? Any questions? Using only one brushes to work on that because I want to test your drawing skills there, right? Okay? Your drawing skills, your indication of drawing skills by using the right kind of strokes to draw. Okay? I can go more and more detail if I want to, but I don't want to at the moment. And use also this kind of methods that you draw this kind of hairline there, okay? Strokes. Okay. Mix them up around. Even with this part of the eyebrow, there is a highlight over here. Okay. Control the pressures really well as you work on that. Okay, guys? Any questions? Any kind of inquiries on our exercise here? Easy, right? All right, only one exercise for this week, but I want you guys to focus basically on this particular kind of exercise in order to develop the right kind of strokes. Okay, using pencil brushes. Okay, if you can use a similar brushes, only one brush is there, right? Okay, for you guys to execute them. I want you guys to use only one brushes to execute. Monochrome there, right? Yes. Why you have to put colors on that? Okay. Same goes to your exercise that you did basically for last week, especially for the first exercise there, okay? I want you guys to use monochrome, grayscale kind of tone there, okay? Those are the things there, right? Because that's the way basically we can see whether you guys can really understand how to indicate this kind of contrast, okay, the depth of fields, all right, what we call that the continuity of those kind of shadings there, okay, and also the what we call that the level of tone that we can see from there. Even though we can use any color that you want there, okay, but I want you guys to use grayscale. It's classic kind of methods there to understand about your kind of way to approach your skills. All right. For the rest of you guys who haven't submit your exercise over here, please don't delay your kind of what we call that submissions. All right. Thank you very much for submit there, right? Okay, but I see some of you guys still haven't submit there, right? So please work on it. But for this exercise, if you don't have those kind of tablets, it's quite hard for you to develop there. Okay. Shilling there, right? Do you use all your exercise or your assignments using your iPad Pro, or you still using your laptop that works on your assignments there, right? But you don't have this kind of tablet there, right? You're still using iPad Pro there. But for another assignment, you're not using iPad there, right? You're using your laptop, right? If you can invest two different mediums, okay, it's a bit more better, right? Yeah. Okay. Because I don't like to wait there, okay? Because I can find any kind of device for me to work as long as the objective of our lessons are going to be what we call that going to be worked correctly there. Okay, those are the things there. Not about the device itself there. Okay, if you have to wait for that kind of tablets that or to your pencil, Apple Pencil to arrive, okay, it's going to be hard for you to wait, okay, to indicate your kind of exercise. So work faster there, okay, to get the right kind of result from you. Okay. So any questions? Any kind of inquiries? So make sure you work on it, okay. Try to draw as close as you can using one of the brushes only that you work with, okay. Right now I'm using these pencil brushes. All right, this pencil, Cal Ultimate pencil brushes over here. Okay, these brushes there, right? Okay, this brush is there, right? Try to check your pressure point at the same time when you draw there, okay? So the name of these brushes are going to be Cal Ultimate Pencil. Cal Ultimate Pencil Hard there, right? Huh? This came from Dry Medium brushes. So this is week 2. All right. Exercise there. Okay. So you don't have any questions? Thank you very much, okay, for your patience there, okay, to work to see what we call the demonstrations over here. Hopefully you can get it right and try to indicate the right kind of methods that works over here. So of course, okay, when you use this pencil hard, you can actually control the pressures really well from here to indicate those kind of shadings and shadows there, okay? Don't too dark there, okay, to work on there, okay? I want to see this kind of depth of fields, this kind of contrast, this kind of indication of level of shadings there, okay? Level of tone and shadings at the same time when you paint it up, okay? When you actually draw them back there, right? We focus on drawing for this, what we call that week there, okay? Before we get to go through more kind of what we call that exercise from there. A4 size there, right? Still in A4 size. I'm still using A4 size there, okay? I will show you guys just now. I still maintain A4 size there, right? All right, A4 size, 8 by 11 inch there, okay? To work with our exercise over here. Please remember there, okay? Okay, guys? Any questions? Any kind of inquiries? Okay, about our replacement class is up to you guys, okay? If you guys want to make some replacement, please let me know there, okay? Those are the things there. If you don't actually inform me for any replacement class for this week, okay? If you want to make that, okay, because I have to book those kind of replacements a week after that, right? So make sure you inform me there, okay? As soon as possible by this week. If there is no kind of what we call that suggestions until the end of Friday there, okay, this week, I would assume that you don't want to have some replacement class from there. All right, those are the things. So thank you very much for having me today, and thank you very much for your patience. At the same time, I will take serious on your submission from now on. At the same time, your attendance there, guys. Okay. The things that might going to be take me off sometimes is all about your submissions and your attendance. These two things. All right, and they're going to have a different kind of mood swings for me, basically, okay, when it comes to those attendance and also the assignments there, because I want you guys to take serious on these two things there, okay, all the times. All right, so thank you very much and have a nice day. And of course, right, okay, we'll see you guys on the next session, right, okay, for this week. All right, so good luck, have a good lunch at the same times, and all the best. Okay, take care of you guys. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Welcome. Bye bye, direct.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Have a nice day.
Right, have a good lunch. And the next sessions, we're going to use the same room over here. All right, so we are going to take a break for a while. See you guys later on, okay, on 12:10, all right? Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
All right.